Let me talk to you heart to heart. You're a man over 60 now. You've lived through the early years of manhood. You've known what it means to be strong, to provide, to love. But now the body starts whispering different messages. Your back might ache. You may wake up twice at night to urinate. The muscles aren't what they used to be. And among all the changes that come with age, there's one part of your body that continues to deserve attention. Your prostate. Yes, that walnut-sized gland sitting just below your bladder. The one every man hears about, yet many don't fully understand until something goes wrong. Now here's the thing most men don't talk about openly. At this stage in life, many begin wondering, is it still safe to masturbate? And more importantly, what is happening to my prostate when I do? The truth is, masturbation doesn't stop being part of your health story after 60. It becomes a different chapter, one that brings 6 significant changes to your prostate. And you deserve to know them, because this happens to all men. When you masturbate, your prostate begins to shift, respond, heal, or sometimes suffer. Let me walk you through the first change, and this one is a blessing. When you ejaculate through masturbation, your prostate contracts. It squeezes out fluid. This is the very same fluid that mixes with sperm to make semen. But the process of release itself is a kind of natural massage for the prostate. And that's not just poetic language. Studies from the Journal of Urology have shown that ejaculation helps clear the ducts in the prostate. Picture an old house's pipes. If you don't run water through them every now and then, gunk builds up. Similarly, if the prostate remains stagnant, the fluid inside can collect, become thick, and may even promote inflammation. Regular ejaculation, even once or twice a week, has been shown to help prevent that buildup. So in a way, masturbation helps clean the prostate. It keeps the engine running. Now the second change is closely related to this. It's about inflammation. Chronic prostatitis is one of the most common complaints in older men. You might feel pelvic pain, discomfort when sitting, a constant urge to urinate, and many times doctors won't find any infection. This is called chronic non-bacterial prostatitis, and here's where masturbation might help. A 2003 study published in the journal European Urology suggested that men who ejaculated more often had lower rates of chronic inflammation in the prostate. It is believed that regular ejaculation helps flush out potentially irritating substances. Think of it like cleaning out a filter. When you masturbate, you're not only relieving sexual tension, you are also helping your body fight off stagnation and inflammation at a deep cellular level. But we must also look at the other side. The third change is not always positive, and I say this as someone who has listened to hundreds of older men share their stories behind closed doors. Some experience pain after ejaculation, a dull ache that lingers in the lower abdomen or perineum. This isn't uncommon after 60. What's happening here is that the pelvic floor muscles, which support your prostate and bladder, may have weakened over time. Masturbation can cause temporary strain on these muscles, especially if you're not relaxed or if you are tense during climax. When the muscles are not supporting the prostate properly, it can lead to post-ejaculation discomfort. This doesn't mean you should stop, but it means your body is asking for gentleness, perhaps a slower pace, or incorporating deep breathing. And sometimes even working with a pelvic floor physical therapist can help. The fourth change involves something deeper: the immune system's interaction with the prostate. It may surprise you to learn that your prostate is an immune-active gland. That means it responds to your body's internal environment. Researchers at Harvard and Johns Hopkins have explored how sexual activity, including masturbation, may play a role in helping the immune system monitor and regulate prostate cells. When you ejaculate, immune cells are triggered in a subtle wave of surveillance. This may help remove abnormal or damaged cells before they become problematic. A landmark study published in JAMA in 2004 followed over 29,000 men and found that those who ejaculated at least 21 times per month had a lower risk of developing prostate cancer. While this number may not be practical for all older men, the principle remains. Ejaculation may reduce the risk of harmful cell changes in the prostate by promoting immune system activity and healthy turnover of fluid and cells. Now let us move to the fifth change. And this one is not physical, but it might be the most powerful of all. It is emotional balance. Older men often carry quiet loneliness. Their children have grown. Their partners may be distant or gone. The touch of another human being may feel like a distant memory. Masturbation for some becomes a way to stay connected to their body, to feel, to remember that they are still alive. A 2019 study from Sweden observed that older adults who engaged in regular solo sexual activity reported lower levels of depression and higher feelings of well-being. They felt more in control, more emotionally grounded. This emotional effect can't be ignored because your prostate isn't just a gland. It is part of your identity, part of your vitality, and nurturing it through sexual expression, even in private, sends a message to your body that you matter, that you are still here. Finally, we come to the sixth change, and this is one I share with great care, with honesty, with the deepest respect for your journey. After 60, the balance of hormones in your body shifts. Testosterone declines. Estrogen levels may rise slightly. This hormonal change can make the prostate more sensitive, more vulnerable. If you masturbate too often or with too much pressure, it can irritate the prostate. This is especially true if you already have benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. That's the enlarged prostate so many older men struggle with. Masturbation itself does not cause BPH, but if the prostate is already enlarged, overstimulation may increase temporary swelling and worsen urinary symptoms. A study from the University of Maryland pointed out that men with enlarged prostates who refrained from sexual activity for extended periods experienced worsened urinary flow. But those who maintained moderate sexual activity had steadier symptom control. The key word here is moderation. Not too much, not too little. South, what should you take from all this? The answer is not simple, because your body is not a machine. It is a living, aging, beautiful system of experiences. Masturbation after 60 is not a taboo. It is not shameful. It is not something to whisper about in fear. It is a deeply human act that affects your prostate in multiple ways. It can cleanse it, calm it, awaken it, or irritate it if not approached with care. Listen to your body if you feel relief afterward, if your urination improves, if you feel a sense of relaxation. Then your prostate is likely responding well. If you notice pain, burning, or lingering discomfort, then your body may be asking you to slow down. Try warm baths. Try relaxation techniques. Make sure your bladder is empty before you begin, and always hydrate. These small steps help support your prostate before and after sexual release. And if you have a partner, talk about it, because intimacy doesn't always need to be about penetration. Gentle touch, mutual understanding, holding each other in the dark. These moments matter just as much. They remind the body that it is still worthy of connection. In the end, you are not just protecting your prostate, you are protecting your quality of life and your sense of self. The prostate is a small gland, but its influence over a man's emotional and physical health is enormous. To ignore it, to neglect it, or to fear its needs is to miss an important part of aging with dignity. So remember this, every man changes, every prostate changes, and the choices you make today, even something as simple as how and when you touch yourself, shape your journey into tomorrow. Masturbation after 60 is not the enemy. It is a conversation between you and your body, one that deserves truth, gentleness, and respect. And in that truth lies the path to a healthier, more connected life. Why is masturbation still an important conversation for older men? Let me speak to you not as a doctor behind a desk, but as a fellow human being who has walked beside many men through their later years. There comes a point in every man's life when the world starts treating him differently. The children are grown. The job may be done. The body begins to speak in quieter but more demanding tones. And one of the topics that often gets pushed into the shadows is this one: masturbation, especially for older men. Many think it's something to leave behind in youth, that it has no place in the life of a man past 60. But I'm here to tell you that silence is not helping anyone. In fact, now more than ever, masturbation is a conversation that older men must be having, not just behind closed doors, but in their own minds, with their doctors, with themselves. Because the impact of this act goes far beyond the physical. It touches your mental health, your hormonal balance, your self-worth, your prostate, in your very identity as a man. You see, the body never forgets its blueprint for intimacy. Just because you've aged does not mean you've outgrown your sexual self. It's still there. Sometimes quiet, sometimes confused, but still present. Masturbation is not just about pleasure. It is about presence, about being in touch with your body. A 2019 study published in the journal Archives of Sexual Behavior found that older adults who engaged in regular solo sexual activity reported higher satisfaction with life. It wasn't the frequency that mattered most. It was the freedom to stay connected to themselves, to continue a conversation with their own body. That connection matters more as you age, because life has taken many things from you: strength, stamina, friends, even your partner perhaps. But one thing that remains in your control is the ability to feel, to express, to release, and to be reminded that your body is still yours. From a physical standpoint, masturbation supports many aspects of your health. When a man ejaculates, even through solo stimulation, the prostate contracts. That contraction helps expel old fluid that may otherwise build up. A study from the National Cancer Institute found that men who ejaculated more frequently had a lower risk of prostate cancer. Specifically, those who ejaculated 21 or more times per month had a 20% lower risk compared to those who did 4 to 7 times. While not every older man will be able or even want to meet that number, the message is clear. Ejaculation has a cleansing effect. It helps maintain the health of the prostate by keeping its channels flowing and reducing the stagnation that can contribute to inflammation and cellular change. Beyond the prostate, there's circulation to consider. Sexual arousal increases blood flow to the pelvic region. That blood flow nourishes the nerves, the tissues, the muscles. It keeps them alive, just like a garden with a steady water source. Without it, things wither. With it, they continue to grow. Even at 70, even at 80, sexual stimulation, including masturbation, also releases dopamine and oxytocin. These are the same brain chemicals that reduce stress, improve sleep, and help manage mood. In fact, several studies have shown that sexual activity in older men is linked to reduced rates of depression and anxiety. The Journal of Gerontology published research showing that seniors who maintained sexual activity were more likely to report feeling joyful and optimistic about life. And for many who are widowed or single, masturbation may be the only form of sexual expression left. Why should that be hidden? Why should that be buried under shame? There is also the emotional wound that many older men carry. This feeling that their value has diminished, that they are no longer desirable, that intimacy has closed its doors on them. Society rarely tells older men they are still allowed to be sensual, that they are still allowed to feel aroused. We joke about senior sexuality. We treat it as odd or comical. But what does that do to a man's sense of self? It silences him. It turns his very real needs into a secret burden. And when men carry that kind of silence for too long, it becomes something heavier. It becomes isolation. It becomes shame. And over time, it becomes illness. I've had patients tell me, with tears in their eyes, that they had not touched themselves in years, not because they didn't want to, but because they thought they were not supposed to. That is not health. That is denial. And it's hurting our fathers, our grandfathers, our brothers. Masturbation also plays a role in preserving erectile function. The truth is, the less you use it, the more you lose it. That phrase may sound blunt, but it is rooted in science. Regular erections bring oxygenated blood into the tissues of the penis. This helps maintain the elasticity of the erectile chambers. Men who completely abstain from sexual activity may notice a gradual decline in the firmness or duration of their erections. Masturbation helps counter that decline. It is not a cure for erectile dysfunction, but it can help maintain baseline function. It also helps men become more familiar with their current body. What feels good, what doesn't, what has changed. That kind of awareness is essential for staying in tune with your health. Now, some men may feel that masturbation is not worth the effort anymore, that their libido has faded, that the body no longer responds the way it used to, and that is understandable. Hormonal shifts are real. Testosterone begins to decline around age 30 and continues gradually each year. But decline is not disappearance. Even if desire is low, the ability to experience pleasure is still there. Sometimes it just needs a little attention, a little patience, a little quiet time to awaken. And for some, it may never feel the same, but that doesn't make it any less meaningful. In fact, many men report that their connection to their body becomes deeper, more emotional, more reflective as they age. It is no longer about performance, it is about presence. We also have to remember that sexual expression is not just about the individual. It can be a bridge to deeper understanding with a partner. Talking about masturbation in older age opens doors to conversations about touch, need, and connection. Couples who discuss these things often find new ways to support each other, even if traditional sex is no longer possible. They rediscover the value of holding, kissing, massaging, being close without shame, and for those who are single, it becomes a way to maintain intimacy with oneself, which in many ways is the first and most lasting relationship we ever have. So yes, masturbation is still an important conversation for older men, not because it's new, but because it's been forgotten, buried, avoided, and yet it holds within it keys to better health, stronger mental well-being, and emotional connection. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of life, of presence, of refusing to let age steal away the most human parts of you. If you are a man listening to this and you've carried shame around this topic, I want you to hear this clearly. Your desire is not wrong. Your body is not broken. And your need for touch, even your own, is not something to apologize for. It is something to honor. In the quiet space of your life, when the world has slowed down and the noise has softened, remember that this part of you still belongs to you. It always has, and always will.